My family's 600-acre farm has been in our blood since 1894, when my great-grandfather tamed a wild Texas brush to carve out a life. Hoof prints from generations of cattle, hand-dug fence posts, and the echoes of kids racing down dirt paths on rickety bikes mark every inch of this land. I'm Ethan Caldwell, 43, a farmer through and through, with calluses earned from years of sweat and stubborn soil. Life was quiet for years. Our farm sat just outside town, a peaceful stretch of rolling pastures, a creek-fed pond, and a forest thick enough to lose yourself in. Then, about a year ago, Sunset Meadows Estates broke ground across the main road. I watched bulldozers flatten mesquite trees and pour concrete, turning the land into rows of beige, cookie-cutter homes with picket fences. At the heart of it was Laura Mitchell, the self-appointed HOA president. Our first meeting set the tone. She rolled up to my gate in a crisp blazer, clutching a clipboard like a weapon, and handed me a pamphlet called Unifying Our Community, a Vision for Cohesion. I glanced at it and said, "Lady, my cows don't care about your Weishown." She didn't laugh. From then on, she had me in her sights. Letters started our reviewing, first a friendly suggestion to repaint my 80-year-old barn to match the neighborhood's aesthetic. Then complaints about my roosters crowing at dawn. It's a farm, Laura that's nature's wake-up call. Things escalated fast. I caught a drone buzzing over my cattle, sent by Laura's neighbor's kid to survey inconsistencies. Then she started pushing for a community greenway that'd slice through my best grazing land. Once, she even hinted at the tax benefits of donating a parcel. I told her the only thing I'd donate was a swift kick if she crossed my fence again. Quietly. Thoroughly. After months of her letters, Ted VY sits, and drone flyovers, I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding, was a campaign. My wife, Sarah, had been begging for a break, so we planned 2 weeks at my friend Nate's ranch in Wyoming. Fresh air, no HOA nonsense. But I wasn't lying without a plan. I'd seen what people like Laura do when they smell opportunity. First, I hit the county office to lock in our property lines every inch of the 600 acres, geotagged with satellite overlays, filed under state agricultural and historical protections. That alone was a bureaucratic fortress. We drafted a notarized order. Any trespass, construction, or signage on my land, and Daniel could slap an injunction and sue for encroachment without waiting for me. I also registered the farm as a protected agricultural trust with an inherited land clause. Any zoning or ownership change needed court approval, even if forged. A legal landmine. Then came the hardware. Motion sensors on the fences, pressure pads at the west gate, solar-powered trail cams rigged as birdhouses. A buddy from the fire department wired a solar backup for the house system in case someone tampered with the power. Sarah caught me securing a camera and teased, "You prepping for Armageddon or just Laura?" I grinned. With her, same difference. Before we left, I handed Daniel a sealed envelope labeled "If Laura tries anything." As we packed the truck, I scanned the pastures, the cows grazing, the barn standing proud. If Laura moved, I'd know. "Go ahead, Laura," I muttered as we drove off. Test me. A week into Wyoming, I was grilling with Nate when my phone pinged. Gus called seconds later. "Ethan, hate to bug you on vacation, but you've got a backhoe eating your alfalfa like it's a buffet. Some guy asked if I'm ready for a modern subdy VYB. I told him I'm ready to grab my shotgun if they touch my fence." Sarah overheard, and we kicked into gear. I checked my security fee, workers planting flags, surveyors spraying lines, signs reading Sunset Meadows Ranch Extension, HOA property. A guard in a Sunset Meadows jacket lounged against my fence. Then Laura appeared, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched, directing a bulldozer toward my grandfather's barn like she owned the place. My blood boiled. She thought she'd won. She'd filed a zoning petition claiming I'd abandoned the farm, backed by a fake AFIDA VYT signed by me and Sarah, ceding the land to her HOA. Our signatures? Mine looked like a toddler's scribble. Sarah's name was misspelled twice. She even forged my late grandmother's signature, dead since 2009. Bold, but sloppy. The site hit like a gut punch. Signs everywhere. Sunset Meadows Ranch Extension. Future HOA amenities. Orange tape circled my barn. My pasture was carved into lots. A drone hummed above, and an HOA kiosk sat where my kids once played, with a teen handing out flyers. I stepped out of the truck, slow and steady, and walked toward her. She froze mid-sentence, then flashed that oily smile. Mr. Caldwell, back early. Wait till you see the progress. I handed her an envelope-me legal notice and waved to the SUV pulling in. Daniel stepped out with Deputy Caleb Voss, a no-nonsense giant, and Judge Larson's clerk, clutching a court order. Daniel pinned an injunction to her kiosk and the cement mixer. Caleb boomed, all work stops now. Any equipment here in an hour is EVY Denke in a criminal investigation. Laura stammered. This is a mistake. He signed it over. Daniel shut her down. You forged documents, including a signature from a woman dead 16 years. The county clerk checks these things. Her face drained. I stepped closer. You trespassed, vandalized, and tried to steal 600 acres of my family's legacy. Thought I was just a farmer on vacation? I was 10 steps ahead. Workers scattered. The kiosk teen vanished. Caleb turned to Laura. You're under investigation for forgery, fraud, trespass, and conspiracy. Call a lawyer someone better than whoever thought this was a good idea. She backed off, speechless. Daniel clapped my shoulder. This is just the start. I kicked over an HOA sign as I walked to my porch. My land. Still mine. The courtroom smelled like history dust and old wood. The hearing drew a crowd. Locals, news crews, even a kettle corn vendor. Laura arrived with 2 slick lawyers, overconfident in their city suits. I sat with Daniel, Sarah gripping my hand, my dad in his best boots behind us. Judge Larson took the bench, his gavel cracking like lightning. We're here to settle if a 600-acre farm was stolen by an HOA through fraud and forgery. I hope you brought miracles, Ms. Mitchell. I testified, laying out everything Laura's first VY sit to the bulldozers tearing up my land. Daniel showed time-stamped camera footage and her forged forms. He held up a deed signed by my grandmother, Ellen Caldwell, dead for 16 years. Where'd you get this signature, Ms. Mitchell? The room went silent. Laura froze. The judge leaned forward. Care to explain forging documents and filing them with the county? She mumbled about a clerical error. The gallery laughed. Larson banged his gavel. That's a new one for felony forgery. Daniel piled owner handwriting expert exposed her doctored forms, and an HOA email titled Caldwell Parcel Acquisition sealed it. The jury gasped. Larson ruled, Ms. Mitchell, you face criminal charges. The HOA's actions are void. Mr. Caldwell, your land is yours, and I'm referring this to the DA for fraud, trespass, and conspiracy. Laura was led out to whistles from the crowd. I felt justice, not joy. The next morning, I sipped coffee on my porch, the barn glowing in the sunrise. Sunset Meadows was quiet construction gone, neighbors avoiding eye contact. Laura was booked for fraud and forgery. The HOA collapsed under fines and lawsuits from others she'd bullied. My land was now a protected historical estate, untouchable. Sarah planted a garden, the kids repainted the fence. We threw a Caldwell Farm Corn Festival, where Laura's old signs became our VY Tory monument. You're on Caldwell land. Last thief paid Dula $250,000. Enjoy the corn. Under the stars, with Johnny Cash playing, Dad raised a beer. Your stubborn streak paid off. We toasted to land, legacy, and the quiet after the storm. Sometimes, the best revenge is a festival, sweet corn, and watching the grass grow back on land that's still yours.